So let's begin with some major campaign events this weekend. Tonight, Beyoncé will appear alongside Vice President Kamala Harris at a rally in Houston, Texas. And Donald Trump is set to appear Sunday at a massive event at Madison Square Garden here in New York City. Now, last night, Harris was joined by former President Barack Obama as the two campaigned together for the first time. Listen to this.
There's a choice that everybody has. It's either Donald Trump in there stewing over his enemies list, or me working for you.
Kamala Harris doesn't have concepts of a plan. She got a plan to make your life better.
Meanwhile, Trump campaigned in Arizona and Nevada yesterday. He was asked about comments made by his former chief of staff in the Atlantic that Trump wanted the kind of generals that Hitler had. This was his response.
No, I never said that. I would never say that. It's a rag that he made up stories. He's done it before. It's a failing magazine. Right before the election, it's just a failing magazine.
For more on all the election headlines, let's bring in CBS News politics reporter Zak Hudak. You see him there joining us from our D.C. bureau. Zak, we just heard from former President Trump there. What else did he have to say at his big events yesterday?
Errol, he spoke at length in Las Vegas about how he sees the Harris campaign as, quote, imploding, and talked on and on about how all of these internal polls show him up tremendous amounts in battleground states and even up in states that typically are not in play, that have not been in play for Republicans for years and years, he said. I think this is pretty similar to the way that the former president has acted at this stage in a campaign, both in 2016 and in 2020. He postures and projects confidence and acts that his candidate is weak. The reality is that we see that Trump and Harris are very, very close right now. But nonetheless, this is the final push strategy that we've seen from former President Trump time and time again. It is to project confidence and to say his candidate is, as he said, quote, imploding.
And these candidates just appear to be so different, and yet the polls are essentially in these swing states dead even. Harris was also joined by Bruce Springsteen last night. She's bringing out quite a bit of star power. What can you tell us about how her final events have differed as far as her closing message?
Errol, I was more interested in the other kind of star power she brought last night, the political star power in former President Barack Obama. And that's right. The first time that we've had the two of them actually physically together on the campaign trail. I think that's been a calculated decision. They've wanted to hold that off and save that as a special moment. So that was the first takeaway. The second takeaway is we continue to see Harris more and more as we get closer to Election Day zero in on former President Trump and talk about how she sees him as a danger. And it really kind of harkens back to the argument that President Biden made in 2020 and that he was making before he stepped aside, that this is a battle for the soul of the nation. So I think we're going to see more and more of that going forward in these next 10 or 11 days here.
Yeah, and we truly are now in the final home stretch. What's on the agenda for both campaigns this weekend? I know Harris also continuing to tap into star power.
Errol, you mentioned that Beyoncé event in Houston today that VP Harris is holding. That is particularly notable. That is in Texas because they want to discuss abortion. They want to focus on a state where after the overturn of Roe, the abortion laws have gotten significantly stricter, where abortion, unless it's in a medical emergency situation, is effectively banned in the state. So that's going to be a major messaging event mixed with star power. And then on Sunday, we have former President Trump in New York holding a rally at Madison Square Garden. This is something that former presidents wanted to do for some time. It's an iconic venue. It's in his home city, but it's also something that's going to let him project strength and fill up a big room. The thing that I think is going to get missed a little bit about that is what a fundraising event it is, though. It's in one of the wealthiest cities in the world, and there will be various VIP packages, some backstage packages, running up to $900,000 a head. So it's going to be a final push for Trump to try to make up some of the lost ground on fundraising, where Harris has pulled away in recent weeks and months.
That is an eye-opening ticket price. Zak Hudak, we appreciate you waking up with us. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Errol.
Meantime, the former president is attacking the Justice Department, saying that independent prosecutor who is assigned to investigate him should be thrown out of the country. In an interview yesterday, Trump pledged to immediately fire special counsel Jack Smith. That's the man overseeing two key investigations into him. The Former president touted the Supreme Court's immunity ruling that shielded some of his actions and said if he's elected, he would fire Smith in, quote, 2 seconds. Smith has charged Trump over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election and his mishandling of classified documents. Attorneys for Trump are trying to get the federal election interference case against him dismissed, claiming Smith's appointment itself as special counsel was unconstitutional.